The shock of reality. You believe people disrespect you because they lack manners, because they are rude, because they are toxic by nature. That is the story you have been telling yourself to stay comfortable, to avoid confronting something deeper. But the truth is far more precise and far more dangerous if you continue to ignore it. People do not simply disrespect you out of nowhere. They observe you. They test you. Quietly, constantly, without asking for permission. They push your limits in subtle ways, watching how far they can go, measuring your reactions, studying your silence. And they only stop when they finally encounter a boundary that does not move. This is not personal. This is human behavior. As written in Meditations, Book 6, paragraph 30 of Marcus Aurelius, people act according to what seems reasonable to them in the moment. If something is tolerated once, it becomes acceptable. If it becomes acceptable, it becomes expected. And once it is expected, it becomes your identity in their eyes. That is how patterns are formed, not through words, but through repeated permission. Think carefully about your own life. The times you responded immediately to someone who takes hours to reply to you, the favors you agreed to even when they drained your energy, the moments you stayed silent to avoid tension, even when something inside you knew that silence would cost you later. Each of these actions may seem small in isolation, but together they build a silent reputation, not the one you say you have, but the one you demonstrate. And here is where most people make a critical mistake. They believe respect is a reward for being good, for being patient, for being understanding. They believe that if they treat others well, others will naturally treat them the same way. But human nature does not operate on fairness. It operates on perception. And perception is shaped by what you tolerate, not by what you intend. In The Prince, chapter 17 of Niccolò Machiavelli, it is made clear that it is not enough to be good if your goodness invites disorder. People do not respect what they can easily control. They do not value what is always available, and they do not fear losing what never leaves. This is why the person who tries to be liked by everyone often ends up respected by no one. Look around and you will start to see it. The person who is always available is rarely prioritized. The one who explains too much is rarely taken seriously. The one who avoids conflict is often the one people feel most comfortable crossing. Not because others are evil, but because they follow the signals you send. The uncomfortable truth is that every time you ignore a boundary, you train others to ignore it as well. Every time you accept less than you deserve, you normalize it. And every time you choose comfort over clarity, you pay for it later with respect. This is where everything begins to change. The moment you understand that respect is not requested, not negotiated, not earned through kindness alone. It is established through position, through presence, through behavior that makes others think twice before stepping beyond a line. What you are about to learn are 11 powerful attitudes that reshape how people perceive you at the deepest level. These are not tricks, not manipulations, not temporary tactics. They are principles rooted in psychology, reinforced by philosophy, and proven through human behavior across time. When applied correctly, they do not just increase respect. They redefine your position in every interaction. And something else will happen, something most people do not expect. You will not need to chase people away. You will not need to confront toxicity. Because those who thrive on your lack of boundaries will begin to feel uncomfortable in your presence. And without a word, without conflict, they will distance themselves. Pay attention, because from this point forward, you will start to see patterns you were blind to before. You will recognize tests where you once saw coincidence, and you will realize that the way people treat you has always been a reflection of what you allowed. The question now is simple. Will you continue to allow it, or will you change the way the world sees you starting today? Control your availability. You have been taught that being available is a sign of kindness, that responding quickly shows respect, that always being present makes you reliable. That is what most people believe, and that is exactly why most people are not respected. Availability, when given without control, does not create value. It destroys it. The more accessible you are, the less your presence feels significant. And once your presence loses significance, people stop treating it with care. Think about how people behave when something is always within reach. They delay it, they ignore it, They assume it will still be there later. Now apply that same logic to yourself. If you are always ready, always responding, always adjusting your time to fit others, what message are you sending? You are telling them that your time is flexible, that your attention is cheap, that your priorities can wait. And once that message is received, it becomes the standard. This is not about becoming cold or distant. This is about understanding how perception works. In Discourses Book 1, Chapter 25 of Epictetus, it is made clear that what is under your control defines your freedom. Your time is under your control. Your attention is under your control. If you give both away without discipline, you are not being kind, you are surrendering your position. Observe the difference between someone who answers instantly every time and someone who responds with intention. The first creates predictability, the second creates weight. Predictability makes people comfortable, weight makes people attentive, and attention is the foundation of respect. There is also a deeper psychological layer at play. When people cannot fully predict your availability, they begin to assign more value to the moments you are present. Not because you said anything different, but because your presence is no longer guaranteed. It becomes selective, and what is selective is perceived as valuable. Now look at your own behavior. How many times have you interrupted your own focus to respond to something that was not urgent? How often have you prioritized someone else's convenience over your own priorities? Every time you do that, you reinforce a pattern. You teach people that access to you is immediate and unlimited, and once that pattern is learned, it is rarely questioned. In The Prince, Chapter 18 of Niccolo Machiavelli, it is explained that perception often outweighs intention. You may intend to be helpful, but what people perceive is availability without limits, and what has no limits is rarely respected. Controlling your availability does not mean ignoring people. It means choosing when and how you engage. It means allowing space between stimulus and response. It means making it clear, without saying a word, that your time has structure, that your attention has direction, and that access to you is not automatic. When you start doing this, something interesting happens. People begin to adjust to you. They begin to wait. They begin to consider whether something is worth your time before bringing it to you. Not because you demanded it, but because your behavior made it clear. And this is where many fail. They try to change how others treat them without changing how they present themselves. That never works. People respond to patterns, not to intentions. If your pattern is constant availability, your result will be constant disregard. There is a silent power in being less accessible. Not absent, not distant, but deliberate. You respond when it makes sense, not when it is demanded. You engage when it aligns with your priorities, not when it interrupts them. And over time, this creates a shift that cannot be ignored. Because the moment people realize that your time is not easily obtained, they begin to treat it differently. And when they treat your time differently, they begin to treat you differently. Control your availability, and you control the first layer of how the world values you. Say less than you know. Most people talk too much because they believe clarity comes from explaining everything. They think that the more they reveal, the more they will be understood, respected, and valued. But the opposite is often true. The more you expose, the more you dilute your presence. Words, when used without discipline, lose weight. And when your words lose weight, so does your authority. Look closely at those who command respect in any room. They do not rush to fill silence. They do not explain themselves beyond what is necessary. They do not reveal everything they think or everything they know. Instead, they speak with intention, with restraint, and with precision. This creates something rare in a world of noise. It creates curiosity. Curiosity is power. When people cannot fully read you, they begin to observe you more carefully. They listen more closely. They try to interpret what you mean beyond what you say. And in that process, your presence expands without you saying more. It is not about hiding. It is about controlling what is revealed and when. In The Prince, Chapter 18 of Niccolo Machiavelli, there is a principle that remains timeless. A wise individual does not bind themselves to every truth when doing so weakens their position. This does not mean deception for the sake of manipulation. It means understanding that not every thought deserves to be spoken, and not every truth needs to be exposed immediately. Now consider your own behavior. How often do you over-explain your decisions? How often do you justify your actions to people who did not even question you? How often do you speak just to avoid silence, as if silence were something uncomfortable? Every unnecessary word is a small loss of control. Every excess explanation invites scrutiny, and the more you explain, the more you place yourself in a position where others feel entitled to judge, question, or challenge you. There is also a psychological shift that occurs when you reduce your words. People begin to assign greater meaning to what you do say. When you speak less, each sentence carries more weight. Each word feels deliberate, and deliberation signals confidence. Confidence, when quiet and controlled, commands respect without effort. In Proverbs chapter 17, verse 27, it is written that the one who has knowledge restrains their words. This is not about silence for the sake of silence. It is about mastery over impulse. The impulse to explain, to defend, to prove. When you master that impulse, you gain something far more valuable than being understood. You gain control over how you are perceived, and perception is everything. The person who speaks too much often reveals uncertainty, even when they are competent. The person who speaks with restraint appears grounded, even when they say less. This is because people do not measure your value by volume. They measure it by presence. There is another layer to this that most ignore. When you speak less, you also listen more. And when you listen more, you gather information others give away freely. You begin to see patterns, intentions, insecurities. You understand not just what people say, but why they say it. And this positions you differently, not as someone reacting, but as someone observing and choosing. This is why silence has always been associated with strength. Not because silence is passive, but because it is controlled. It shows that you are not driven by the need to be heard, but guided by the decision of when to speak. When you start applying this, you will notice a shift. Conversations will feel different. People will pause when you speak. They will pay attention in a way they did not before. Not because you became louder, but because you became intentional. Say less than you know, and you will begin to see more than others realize. And when you see more, you move differently. When you move differently, you are treated differently. Do not react immediately. Most people live in reaction. Someone speaks, they respond. Someone criticizes, they defend. Someone provokes, they explode or retreat. Everything happens instantly, almost automatically, as if there were no space between what happens and how they respond. And that is exactly where they lose control. Because the moment you react without pause, you give control of your behavior to whatever triggered you. Reaction is easy, control is rare, and respect is built on what is rare. Think about the last time someone said something that bothered you. Notice how your body responded first. A shift in tension, a surge of emotion, a need to respond quickly. That urge feels natural, almost necessary. But that urge is not power. It is impulse. And impulse, when not controlled, exposes you. In Discourses Book 2, Chapter 18 of Epictetus, there is a principle that separates those who lead themselves from those who are led by circumstances. It is not what happens that disturbs you, but how you interpret and respond to it. If you respond immediately, you are not choosing your action. You are obeying your reaction. Now observe people who are easily provoked. They are predictable. Anyone can push the right button and get the desired reaction. That predictability makes them easy to control. And people, consciously or not, recognize this. They test it. They use it. They rely on it. When you react instantly, you reveal your emotional triggers. You show where you are vulnerable. You show what affects you. And once that is known, it can be used again and again. Not always with malicious intent, but often without respect. Now consider the opposite. Someone who pauses. Someone who listens without interruption. Someone who does not rush to defend or explain. That pause creates uncertainty. And uncertainty creates caution. People begin to think before they act around you, because they cannot easily predict how you will respond. That is where power begins to shift. There is a moment, very small but extremely important, between what happens and what you choose to do next. Most people never notice it. They move too fast. But if you learn to expand that moment, even by a few seconds, everything changes. Because in that space, you are no longer reacting. You are deciding. In Proverbs chapter 29, verse 11, it is written that a fool gives full vent to their spirit, but a wise person holds it back. Holding back is not weakness. It is control. It is the ability to remain centered while others lose balance. This does not mean you become passive or silent in every situation. It means you respond when you choose, not when you are pushed. It means your words are not pulled out of you by pressure, but delivered with intention. There is also a deeper psychological effect. When you do not react immediately, people begin to question their own behavior. They wonder if they crossed a line. They reconsider their tone. They adjust. Not because you corrected them directly, but because your restraint created awareness. And this is something most people misunderstand. You do not always need to confront someone to influence them. Sometimes, your lack of reaction is the strongest signal you can send. Look at your own patterns again. How often have you answered quickly just to avoid discomfort? How often have you defended yourself before even understanding the full situation? Every one of those moments is a missed opportunity to establish control. When you slow down your response, you elevate your presence. You show that you are not easily moved, not easily shaken, not easily controlled. And that changes how people approach you. Because people respect what they cannot easily manipulate, and they cannot manipulate what does not react on command. Do not react immediately. Create space. Choose your response. And in that space, you take back control of yourself and the way the world engages with you. Learn to say no without explaining. Most people do not struggle to say yes. They struggle to say no. Not because they lack time, not because they lack clarity, but because they fear the reaction that follows. They fear disappointing others. They fear being misunderstood. They fear losing approval. And because of that fear, they begin to justify every decision, to explain every refusal, to soften every boundary until it no longer feels like a boundary at all. But every time you explain too much, you weaken your position, because explanation invites negotiation. And negotiation, when it comes to your limits, turns your decisions into something others feel entitled to question. Think about how often you say no and immediately follow it with a reason. You say you are busy. You say you have something else planned. You say it is not a good time. And in that moment, without realizing it, you have shifted control. Because now your no is no longer final. It becomes conditional. It becomes something that can be challenged, adjusted, or even dismissed. If someone believes your reason is not strong enough, they will push. If they believe your time is flexible, they will insist. And suddenly, what was a clear decision becomes a conversation you did not want to have. In Discourses, Book 1, Chapter 29 of Epictetus, there is a principle that defines inner authority. If something is not aligned with your judgment, you do not need to justify your refusal. Your decision is enough. Because your life is governed by your choices, not by the approval of others. Now consider the opposite behavior. A simple no, delivered calmly, without tension, without apology, without explanation. No extra words, no defensive tone, just clarity. At first it may feel uncomfortable because you are breaking a pattern, but that discomfort is not weakness, it is growth. And something important happens when you do this consistently. People begin to understand that your decisions are not open for negotiation. They stop asking you to justify yourself. They stop pushing your limits, not because you argued with them, but because your behavior made it clear that your boundaries are stable. In The Prince, Chapter 19 of Niccolò Machiavelli, it is suggested that one must avoid being perceived as weak or easily influenced. When you over-explain, you risk creating that perception. You appear uncertain, as if you need others to accept your reasoning in order to validate your decision. And once that perception is formed, it becomes difficult to reverse. There is also a deeper psychological layer. When you explain too much, you place yourself in a position of defense. You act as if your no requires permission, but when you state it without explanation, you communicate something entirely different. You communicate that your decision comes from a place of certainty, not from fear. This does not mean you become rude or dismissive. Tone matters. Presence matters. You can be calm, respectful, and firm at the same time. The strength is not in the word itself. It is in the way it is delivered. Look at your own experiences. The people you respect most are not the ones who explain every decision. They are the ones who are clear, consistent, and grounded. When they say no, you do not question it. You accept it. Not because they forced you, but because their presence makes it unnecessary to challenge them. Now imagine applying that to your own life. No unnecessary explanations. No defensive justifications. Just clarity. Over time, this changes how people interact with you. They begin to think twice before making requests that do not align with your priorities. They begin to respect your time, your space, your decisions, because boundaries that are explained too much are often ignored. But boundaries that are stated with calm certainty are rarely tested more than once. Learn to say no without explaining, and you will notice a shift that goes beyond words. You will feel it in how people approach you, how they speak to you, and how they consider your presence before making demands. Because the moment your no becomes final, your value becomes clear. Observe more than you speak. Most people enter a room with the same instinct. They want to be seen, to be heard, to prove something. So they speak quickly, share opinions freely, reveal thoughts without filter. They believe participation creates influence. But influence does not come from how much you say. It comes from how well you understand what is happening around you. The one who speaks first often reveals the least control. The one who observes first gains the most information. Look carefully at any environment, whether it is work, social circles, or even family. People are constantly revealing themselves, not only through what they say, but through how they say it. Tone, timing, hesitation, repetition. These details expose intentions, insecurities, ambitions, and weaknesses. But you only see them if you are not distracted by your own need to speak. In Meditations Book 7, paragraph 61 of Marcus Aurelius, there is a quiet reminder that the mind must not be carried away by every impression, but instead examine things with clarity. Observation is that examination. It is the discipline of seeing without immediately reacting, without inserting yourself into every moment. Now consider the advantage this gives you. When you observe more than you speak, you begin to understand patterns. You notice who seeks attention and who avoids it. You notice who exaggerates and who withholds. You notice who speaks with certainty and who seeks validation. These patterns are not random. They are consistent, and once you see them, you cannot unsee them. And here is where power begins to shift, because the person who understands the environment does not need to compete within it. They navigate it. They choose when to speak, what to say, and how to position themselves. Their words are not frequent, but they are precise, and precision carries weight. There is also a psychological effect on others. When you are not constantly speaking, people begin to project onto you. They try to understand what you are thinking. They become more aware of your presence, even when you are silent, and that awareness creates a subtle tension, a kind of respect that is not demanded, but felt. In Proverbs chapter 18, verse 2, it is written that a fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing their own opinion. Most people live exactly like that. They speak not to understand, but to be heard. And in doing so, they reveal more than they realize. When you choose to observe instead, you place yourself in a different position. You are no longer reacting to the environment. You are reading it. And the one who reads the environment always has an advantage over the one who is absorbed by it. Think about how often people speak without truly listening. They wait for their turn to talk. They interrupt. They assume. In that kind of environment, the one who listens becomes rare, and rarity once again creates value. But observation is not passive. It is active awareness. It requires discipline. It requires resisting the impulse to speak just to fill space. It requires patience. And most importantly, it requires confidence. Because silence can feel uncomfortable to those who depend on constant expression to feel relevant. When you master this, your interactions change. You start asking better questions. You start making more accurate statements. You start responding in ways that show you understand more than what was said. And people notice this. They may not always know why, but they feel it. Because the one who sees clearly moves differently. They are not surprised easily. They are not manipulated easily. They are not influenced by surface-level behavior. They see beneath it. Observe more than you speak, and you will begin to understand what others overlook. And once you understand, you no longer need to force respect. It emerges naturally from the way you carry yourself. Do not reveal your weaknesses too early. Most people believe vulnerability creates connection. They are told to open up quickly, to share their struggles, to expose their weaknesses as a way to build trust. And while there is truth in vulnerability, there is also a danger that few understand. When revealed without discernment, weakness does not create respect. It creates leverage. People do not always use what you reveal against you with malicious intent. But once something is known, it changes how you are perceived. It shapes expectations. It influences how others speak to you, how they test you, and how seriously they take your presence. Think about the difference between controlled vulnerability and premature exposure. One is deliberate, timed, and shared with those who have earned access. The other is impulsive, unfiltered, and given to those who have not yet proven their intentions. The result is not connection, it is imbalance. In Meditations, Book 8, paragraph 49 of Marcus Aurelius, there is a principle that speaks to inner discipline. A person must guard their mind and not allow it to be scattered or exposed without purpose. Your weaknesses are part of that inner space. They are not meant to be displayed without reason. Now consider your own experiences. How many times have you shared something personal, only to feel a subtle shift in how you were treated afterward? Not always openly, not always directly, but in small ways. A different tone, a different level of seriousness, a slight change in respect. This happens because information changes perception, and perception, once again, defines how people engage with you. In The Prince, chapter 23 of Niccolo Machiavelli, there is a warning about the danger of exposing oneself to those who have not proven loyalty. A wise individual does not give others the tools to diminish their position. This is not about distrust, it is about timing. There is also a psychological layer that cannot be ignored. When you reveal your weaknesses too early, you place yourself in a position where others feel more comfortable testing you. Not because they intend to harm you, but because they sense where your limits might be. And once limits are sensed, they are often explored. This is why composure matters. Not the absence of weakness, but the control over when and how it is revealed. Everyone has vulnerabilities. That is not the issue. The issue is exposure without strategy. Look at those who command respect. They do not appear perfect, but they are controlled. They do not reveal everything at once. They allow trust to build over time. They understand that information is not just expression, it is positioning. When you delay the revelation of your weaknesses, you give yourself time to understand the environment. You observe who is trustworthy and who is not. You see who respects boundaries and who looks for ways around them. And based on that, you choose what to share. This is not manipulation. This is awareness. In Proverbs chapter 12, verse 23, it is written that a prudent person conceals knowledge, while the heart of a fool proclaims it openly. Concealment here is not deception. It is protection. It is the wisdom of not exposing what can be misused. And there is something else that happens when you hold back. People begin to focus on your strengths, not your vulnerabilities. They define you by what you demonstrate, not by what you confess. And that changes how they approach you. Because once people associate you with stability, with control, with consistency, they treat you differently. They become more careful, more attentive, more respectful. Not because you demanded it, but because your presence suggests it. Do not misunderstand this principle. There is a time to open up, a time to share, a time to be vulnerable. But that time is not at the beginning. It comes after observation, after trust is established, after you understand who is in front of you. Reveal your weaknesses too early, and you risk losing control of your image. Control them, and you decide how and when the world sees that side of you. Because respect is not built on what you expose without thought. It is built on what you reveal with intention. Maintain emotional stability. Most people believe strength is loud. They associate power with intensity, with visible reactions, with forceful expression. But real strength rarely announces itself. It reveals itself in control, in stillness, in the ability to remain unchanged while everything around you is trying to move you. Emotional instability is one of the fastest ways to lose respect. Not because emotions are wrong, but because lack of control makes you predictable, and anything predictable can be influenced, pressured, and eventually dominated. Watch how people behave under pressure. Some raise their voice, some become defensive, some withdraw completely. Each reaction reveals something. It shows where they can be shaken. It shows what affects them. And once that is visible, it becomes part of how others engage with them. In Discourses Book 1, Chapter 18 of Epictetus, there is a clear teaching. If someone can provoke you, they become your master in that moment. Not permanently, but enough to shift control, because your reaction is no longer yours. It is triggered by them. Now consider what happens when that reaction does not come. When someone tries to provoke you and finds no immediate emotional response, something changes. There is uncertainty, there is hesitation, because they expected movement, and instead they encountered stillness. And stillness, when intentional, creates pressure on the other person. This is not about suppressing emotion. It is about governing it. It is about recognizing the feeling without allowing it to dictate your behavior. Because feelings pass, but actions leave consequences. In Proverbs chapter 16, verse 32, it is written that the one who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and the one who rules their spirit is greater than one who conquers a city. This is not poetic exaggeration. It is a statement of control. Conquering others requires force. Governing yourself requires mastery. Look at your own life. How many situations escalated because of a reaction that could have been controlled? How many words were said in the heat of the moment that later required explanation or regret? Every uncontrolled reaction carries a cost. Sometimes immediate, sometimes delayed, but always present. And here is what most people do not realize. Emotional stability is not only about avoiding negative outcomes. It is about creating a presence that others respect instinctively. When people see that you are not easily shaken, they approach you differently. They choose their words more carefully. They consider their actions more deliberately, because they understand something without needing it to be said. You are not easily influenced. There is also a deeper psychological effect. When you remain stable, you become the reference point in the interaction. Others begin to adjust to your pace, to your tone, to your level of intensity. And in doing so, you quietly lead the dynamic without asserting dominance. This is why the calm individual often holds more power than the loud one. The loud one reacts. The calm one decides. Now imagine applying this consistently. A disagreement arises, and instead of reacting, you pause. A criticism is directed at you, and instead of defending immediately, you listen. A situation becomes tense, and instead of matching the intensity, you remain grounded. Over time, this builds a reputation, not one you announce, but one people feel. They begin to see you as someone who does not lose control, someone who cannot be easily pushed, someone who remains centered regardless of the situation. And that reputation changes everything. Because people respect what they cannot destabilize. They respect what remains firm when tested. They respect what does not collapse under pressure. Maintain emotional stability, and you remove one of the easiest ways others can gain control over you. And once that is removed, your presence becomes something different. Not louder, not more aggressive, but more solid, more grounded, more difficult to challenge without consequence. Do not try to be liked by everyone. Most people spend their lives chasing approval. They adjust their words, their tone, their behavior, trying to be liked by everyone they encounter. They believe that being liked equals being respected. They think that avoiding conflict, avoiding discomfort, and accommodating everyone's preferences will make them more valuable in the eyes of others. But the exact opposite is true. Trying to be liked by everyone erases your boundaries. It dissolves your authority. It communicates uncertainty and lack of conviction. People do not respect someone who bends to every opinion, because that person has no stable center. Approval becomes their guide, and anyone who recognizes that can manipulate it, exploit it, or diminish it. Consider how the world actually works. Those who are universally liked are rarely taken seriously. Popularity does not create power. It creates expectation and dependency. People begin to measure you not by your principles, your strength, or your judgment, but by how agreeable you are. And agreeableness, when overused, becomes predictability. In Meditations Book 3, paragraph 5 of Marcus Aurelius, it is stated that external praise is outside our control, and thus worthless when it becomes the measure of our worth. Respect, on the other hand, comes from consistency, from firmness, from the silent understanding that your presence carries weight and is not granted to everyone indiscriminately. Now observe your own experiences. How often have you compromised your position to gain approval? How many times have you softened your words or hidden your opinion because you feared disagreement? Every time you do, you teach others that your value depends on their consent. And once that lesson is learned, it becomes a habit in your interactions. There is also a deeper psychological principle at work. When you stop seeking universal approval, you begin to project certainty. Certainty draws attention. Certainty commands respect. People are naturally drawn to those who do not depend on them for validation because such individuals show internal strength and stability. In The Prince, chapter 19 of Niccolo Machiavelli, it is emphasized that a leader cannot rely on being loved. He must rely on being respected. Approval is fleeting, situational, and fragile. Respect is durable, consistent, and self-reinforcing. Attempting to achieve both at the same time often results in losing both. When you accept that not everyone will like you, something shifts internally. You begin to focus on principles, on priorities, on the quality of your interactions, rather than the quantity of smiles or nods. You choose your company. You set your boundaries. And by doing so, you create a magnetic influence that cannot be dictated by casual opinions. People notice this shift immediately. Those who once tested you begin to adjust their behavior. They realize that your actions are guided by internal standards, not by their preferences. Your presence becomes more deliberate, your words more significant, and your authority more tangible. The lesson is simple yet profound. Seeking to be liked by everyone diminishes your control. Releasing that need amplifies your power. People will not always agree with you, and some may even resent it. But that is a sign that your influence is real, that your position is solid, and that your boundaries are respected. Do not try to be liked by everyone. Focus instead on integrity, consistency, and deliberate presence. In doing so, you become someone whose approval is not easily earned, but whose respect is universally acknowledged.